Okay, so the term AI agent, it's absolutely everywhere lately, isn't it? But today we're going to cut through all that noise. We'll start with the AI you already know, like chatbots. And I promise, in just a few minutes, you'll understand the one crucial change that takes a simple tool and turns it into something that can actually think, plan, and act all on its own. Let's get right into it.
Right. Think about it like this. You know how to give an AI a to-do list. That's pretty standard stuff. That's just following instructions. But what if the AI could look at a goal you give it, write its own to-do list, figure out the best tools for the job, and then actually go and do the work, all by itself? That is the massive leap we are talking about today.
And that huge leap, it all hinges on one single crucial change. By the time we're done here, you are going to know exactly what that change is. You'll see with perfect clarity what separates a simple AI tool from a truly autonomous agent. So let's get started. All right, let's start at level 1 with something I'm pretty sure you're already familiar with, the large language model, or LLM. This is the brain, basically, inside chatbots like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. And you know what they do, right? They're amazing conversationalists, fantastic at generating and editing text.
The whole process is, well, incredibly simple. You, the human, provide some kind of input, could be a prompt, a question, whatever. And the LLM just produces an output based on all the data it was trained on. You ask it to draft a polite email, and poof, it does. Super simple, right? But, and this is a big but, this simplicity comes with some major limitations.
And this is where we see the boundaries really clearly. A basic LLM can't get to your personal stuff. It can't access your private company data. So if you ask ChatGPT, hey, what's my next meeting? It has no clue. It can't see your calendar. It's also totally passive. It just sits there, waiting for your prompt, and then it responds. Remember those two things. It has no access to your stuff, and it's passive. That's important as we level up. Okay, so let's move on up to level 2 and see how we build on that. This is where AI workflows come into play. Now, instead of just responding to a prompt, we're actually giving the AI a very specific, predefined path to follow. So what if you, the human, lay down a rule? You tell the LLM, hey, from now on, whenever I ask about an event, I need you to check my Google Calendar first. Now, when you ask, when's my coffee chat, it works. It follows the rule you created. But, and here's the catch, it's a very rigid path. If you ask it about the weather for that day, it's got nothing because you only told it to check the calendar. Now, you've probably heard the term RAG being thrown around. It sounds really complex, but I promise, it's not. It's just a type of AI workflow, Retrieval-Augmented Generation. That's just the fancy way of saying we're letting an AI look things up, like in your calendar or on a weather service, before it spits out an answer. Here's a perfect real-world example. Let's say you want to automate creating social media posts from news articles. You could build a workflow, right? Step 1, some tool pulls news links into a Google Sheet. Step 2, it kicks those links over to an AI to summarize them. Step 3, it uses another AI with a prompt that you carefully wrote to draft the actual posts. See? You define every single step in the chain. And this is the absolute key to understanding workflows. If those social media posts just aren't funny enough, who fixes it? You, the human, have to go back in and manually rewrite that prompt to get a better result. You are the one making the decisions and doing the improvements. And as long as a human is the decision maker, well, it's a workflow. It is not an agent. So, if a human is always the one in the driver's seat, how do we get to a real agent? That question brings us to the most critical part of this whole explainer. This is it, the jump from human logic to actual machine reasoning. Just to quickly recap where we are. In a workflow, we've established that the human is the architect, right? You design the whole path. You write the prompts, you fix the problems when they pop up. You are completely in control of the logic. So, what happens when we take that human architect and just step them away from the equation? What if the system could design its own path? And here it is. This is the single most important sentence you need to understand. The one massive change that turns a workflow into an agent is when the human decision maker is replaced by an LLM. The AI itself starts calling the shots. Which brings us to level 3, the autonomous thinker. This is where we really get to see what makes an agent, well, agentic, what makes it capable of acting with its own purpose and autonomy. And this side-by-side just perfectly illustrates that shift in responsibility. In a workflow, the human does the reasoning and the acting. But with an agent, the AI takes over both. It reasons about the most efficient path, and then it acts on it, autonomously selecting and using its own tools. This is why one of the most common structures for these agents is called the REACT framework. And it sounds fancy, but it's super simple when you break it down. REACT stands for reason plus act. The agent has to first think about a plan. That's the reason part. And then it has to execute that plan using tools. That's the act part. But crucially, this isn't a one-time thing. The agent operates in a continuous loop. It gets a goal, it reasons out a plan, it acts with its tools, and then, this is the really cool part, it observes the result of its action and iterates. It refines its own approach over and over until the goal is actually met. Okay, let's go back to our social media post example. An agent could draft that post, but then it could critique its own work. It could look at it and say, this isn't engaging enough. And then it would add a new step to its own plan, something like rewrite this with a stronger hook. And it would repeat that cycle until it decides the goal is met. All of that with zero human intervention. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground here, so let's pull it all together with a quick summary of the 3 levels we've just walked through. This table really makes it crystal clear. At level 1, the basic LLM, its whole job is to respond to an input. Who's in charge? The human. Level 2, the workflow, it follows a predefined path. And who's in charge? Still the human. But then you hit level 3, the agent. Its function is to achieve a goal. And the one in charge? That's right, the LLM itself. So if you remember just one thing from all this, let it be this. The key, fundamental shift is moving from just following instructions to actually pursuing a goal. You don't hand an agent a to-do list. You give it an objective, and it's the one that creates and then executes the to-do list all by itself.
And that brings us to the final big question, and this one's for you to think about. Now that AI can pursue goals on its own, what are the tasks in your life or in your business that you're going to stop managing and start delegating? What are those high-level goals you could just hand off? The possibilities, well, they're just starting to unfold.